Hi Camila.
Hi.
So how you been doing?
This week has been really hard for me because I have to go to court.
Court?
Yes, I'm getting a divorce. I was 10 years married to my husband. I have 3 kids. And I just started the process of divorce. So it was really hard because I had to see him and I couldn't really look up at him. I couldn't do it, and just being there reminded me of everything we went through, and it was really hard.
So you're telling me that you had to go to court because you're getting a divorce after 10 years of being married with your husband, and that you have 3 kids. And that has been a little challenging for you to look at him and everything.
Yeah, just looking at him walk into the room and with his lawyers, and my kids were there, my family was there. So it was very hard. I don't know how I got through it. I couldn't focus on what the judge was saying, and I don't know if I can do it again, because I know it's a long process and it would take a long time, but I don't know if I can do it again.
So I know the whole process could be a little difficult, but can you explain more on why is it so difficult for you to see him?
It's hard because I had this concept of him as a good person, as a caring father, and when I realized he wasn't that person anymore, and I decided
Anymore?
Yeah, I mean, we were married for 10 years, and when we began, our marriage was healthy, and we could establish conversations, and I could go out with my friends, and he wouldn't mind, and if we go visit my family, he was okay with it. But then our kids were born, and I feel that he was so stressed about work and about family, and that made him change a lot.
Change?
Yeah, I mean, before he wasn't aggressive and he wasn't violent and he was caring and everything, and then with all that stress, and I don't know what happened, but he started drinking and getting home really late, and if I asked, he would get really mad and yell at me, and well, my kids were very little, and I'm sure they don't remember, but then he got more aggressive, and he started hitting at me, and the neighbors, they got scared because they heard all the fights, and they called the police, and that was very hard too, because personal life is personal, and the neighbors finding out and everything. So yeah, then my kids were born, and they are now 8, 7, and 5, and now I don't think they understand what's going on, and then now they cannot see their father for a while until this process is over, and I know they blame me because they don't understand what's going on.
Why do you think they blame you?
Because I am the person who kicked their father out of the house. I'm the person.
Kicked him out of the house?
For them, that's what I did. They don't understand that
Okay.
he cannot live with me because of divorce and everything. They don't understand that. They just think that I threw him out of the house because I wanted to, or because I didn't love him anymore. So I know they blame me because they're always asking me, why isn't my father here? Why did you kick him out? Why can't we see him? Why don't you let us spend time with him? And for me, it's really hard to explain that to them because I don't want to cause more pain that they've already been through. And I think it is kind of my fault in some way because I waited all this time to get divorced instead of doing it earlier when my kids were maybe not that affected by this.
And why do you think you waited that long to get divorced?
Maybe it took me a long time to realize that he wasn't the man I thought he was.
Can you explain that?
Well, when we got married, when we met, he wasn't aggressive at all, and he was very caring, and I didn't feel like he was a threat to me. And then when he started showing this behavior, it took me a while to realize that was the man he really was. And I didn't want to accept it at first. I was like, maybe this is just the stage she's going through, maybe it's just work. And then when we had kids, I thought, well, maybe this will change him, this will encourage him to be a better person.
So let me see if I understand. You were feeling hopeful for him to change, but you were kind of disappointed with all that happened.
Yeah, and that's actually what made me like stay for that long, because I thought in some point he might realize that, you know, this is our home, this is our family, we've been here, we've worked through problems and we've solved them, but like for a while I thought that might happen, and then I realized it wasn't going to happen. But I stood up for him in the moments that I thought like he would change, but he didn't.
So it's like a whole process of you being like comfortable with him, then he changed, you felt disappointed, then you started feeling hopeful because of your kids, and then you started to be disappointed as well.
Yeah, and that's why I feel like it's kind of my fault, because I should have known that he wasn't going to change. What I didn't know was that it was going to affect my children that much, and I don't know how to tell them, like how to explain to them that this is not my fault, like this is not a decision I took just because that I did it for them not to be in this pain. But at the same time, I don't want them to hate their father for what he did.
And can you explain more, give me more details about how's your relationship with your children?
Lately I've been feeling really disconnected with them, because
Disconnected?
yeah, like take a step back, because I know I'm going through all these issues, and you know, and I don't want them to feel that from me. I want them to feel that I'm sure of what I'm doing, and to be sure that I love them. That's why I did it. And I don't want them to feel like me broken because of all of this. I want them to be strong too. So I have I don't know, like taken a step back from them and made like, I think that has confused them too, because I think if I would be more like closer to them, I could explain them better what's going on, and they wouldn't feel like I am the one that has the fault for this.
Okay, so I can notice that when you said you are the fault, you started to talk lower or something. How does that make you feel?
It makes me feel like I am guilty for my children's pain. I feel like I could have like spared them all that pain and all that confusion. And in some level I understand that they blame me, and that's, I think that's why I felt at court this week. I felt like that it wasn't my fault. I mean, I could have avoided all of that just like by divorcing him earlier, when I knew that he wasn't going to change. So I think that's what I felt when he came to the room, and I didn't know what to do. I couldn't face him, because in some level it's my fault too.
And have you talked about this with anyone?
With my mom, and when I had fights with him, I'd go to my mom's house and tell her everything. And I think she understands like what I'm feeling right now, and she's been like great support for me right now, and through all this process she encouraged me to get a divorce in the first place, and now that I have, she stands by my decision.
So you're telling me that your mom encouraged you to have your divorce because you have like a really close relationship, and she can actually understand you, and you can actually talk to her about all your problems? Yeah,
of course she doesn't know what she doesn't actually know what I'm going through, but because she like has a stable marriage and everything, but I do think she comprehends why I'm feeling this guilt, because every time I had a fight with him and when he started getting aggressive, I'd go to her house, I'd talk to her, and in some way having that support made me stay for longer, because I felt like, you know, she understood me, but she was like, okay, but maybe just step this stage, and he's gonna change for you, for your children. But maybe that made me like have hope for him to change.
So I noticed that your voice started to break down a little.
Yes, and it's because like all these talks I had with my mom, every time I fought with him, I felt like that could have been the moment of my decision, like to get divorced. And I don't really know why I stood up for him all those times. You know, at the end, my family wouldn't even want to see him, my family reunions, meetings because they knew what he was doing to me and to our family.
And at the end, what do you mean by at the end?
Like before I got divorced, like a year ago.
Like a year ago.
Yeah, they didn't want to see him. And it was hard for me because my kids, they still have this concept of him as a great father, as a caring guy and everything, and they are confused about why he cannot go to our family meetings and why my mom doesn't want to see him.
So let me see if I understood this, is that after you had all these problems with your husband, the relationship with your family started to break as well.
Yes.
And now they are like kind of resentful, angry maybe?
Yeah,
Is that what they're feeling?
Yeah, they're very angry because they know what he did to me and to our family, and seeing him now in court, he looks like he said in court that he was going to try and change and like get back to our family, and he was willing to go to therapy and rehab and everything, but I now I cannot believe him right now, and my family doesn't either. So I think I made the best decision by getting a divorce, and I don't regret it, even though it's been really hard, and I know it's gonna go for a long time now, and yeah, but I think I made the right choice, and I stand by it.
Have you talked to your parents about how could you manage to tell the kids this whole process?
I have. My mom says that we shouldn't tell them yet. Maybe wait a little bit longer until they are older.
Older?
Yeah, maybe in 2-3 years. Because I think they're too small to realize what's really going on. And I don't want to break their image of their father as it is right now. I think they still look at him as a great father, as a great person, as this caring man that he's always been there for us. And I wouldn't want to be the one to break it, break the image. So I do think that waiting is a good option,